Welcome back to the podcast, folks. We'll crack on with the episode very shortly, but first off, a massive thanks to Ultimate Add-ons for their support. Ultimate Add-ons are the premium manufacturer of mobile phone and action camera mounting solutions for motorcycles. With a kit for any bike and a proven track record of creating products that keep your devices safe, secure and easily accessible, the Ultimate Add-ons product range is ideal for any rider from the commuter to the round-the-world adventurer. Why shell out on an expensive GPS system when you could use your smartphone, keeping it charged and within reach to take photos of your travels at the same time? Ultimate Add-ons waterproof, shockproof and dustproof tough cases are available for all flagship smartphone models and are designed by riders for riders. Find out why Ride Magazine gives Ultimate Add-ons their coveted Best Buy certification. Keep riding this winter with Ultimate Add-ons. It's all about the journey. And if you use the code TeapotOne10, you'll get 10% off at checkout. That's TeapotOne with the number 10. TeapotOne number 10. We are also sponsored by Transfor Limited Digital Solutions. Transfor Digital Consultancy are a web design and development consultancy with a passion for creating bespoke digital solutions for everyday challenges. From building websites to building branded solutions, Transfor Digital Consultancy can help your online presence and help ease cash flow with payment options available too. Contact ask@transfor.solutions for more information or visit trans4.solutions. That's TRANS, the number 4.solutions. And lastly, we're also sponsored by Innov. Now, as usual, Innov haven't given me any sort of sponsor readout. You might have seen I've done a couple of vids now on they're basically dash cam type systems, motorcycle camera systems, ranging from one camera to two cameras, front and rear. They have the K2 system, which is a 1080 resolution, and the brand spanking new K5, which is a 4K flagship model. I've done some reviews on these, and I've also done full installation vids on both of them. They are total fit and forget systems. I've had them running on the bikes now. I've had the K2 since last summer. Never had a single issue with it. Can't recommend them enough. They're just there in the background should the worst happen. And with the new K5 model, with its added external mic, the sound quality has really stepped up a notch. The GPS is much quicker and the app is so much quicker and more user-friendly to use. I even integrate some of the onboards into some of my vids now when I'm out on a tractor. So check them out at innov.co.uk. A massive thanks to everyone that has supported the podcast so far. If you want to sponsor an episode, drop me a line, info@teapotone.com. Right, on with episode 42 of Brewtime. And this week, I have the one and only Sean Conway. Enjoy.
God damn it, that's a good beard.
Says you. You've trimmed yours.
I know. I've actually had it trimmed for ages. So when I had my son, when he was on the baby carrier in the front, when it was your length, it was just going over his face. So I just thought, he was sort of like lying there going, what are you doing to me? So I thought, I might as well.
Yeah. This was purely in honour of your good self. I saw that astonishing beard you've grown, and I thought, right, I need to try and compete with that. Spectacular. How you doing anyway, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. COVID can bugger off now, if I'm honest. But hanging in there. I've got my health and my family and everything. So
it's the main thing, isn't it? It's the main thing. Yeah, I've struggled. The first couple of lockdowns I wasn't that bothered with, to be honest, because I spend my life sat in my office editing videos anyway. So, but this last one, I found it tough. Yeah, I think everybody has. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the actual lockdown, I'm actually not too bad with. Like, we moved here a year ago, so just before lockdown. And, we bought a bungalow and it needed a bit of work. We bought it off a 95-year-old man who lived here his whole life. So it needed a lot of work. So actually, lockdown's been perfect for that. I've been digging holes in the garden and knocking it down and, just making the house a little bit more sort of livable for a family. So that's great. What's really frustrating me is just I've lost, like, my goals and all the things I have planned, and I'm a bit of a monkey terrier. So I enjoy being a monkey when I'm a monkey because I'm inquisitive and I try things and I learn stuff and I break things and I fix them. But I need terrier mode every now and then where I blinkers down
and go for it.
I chase what I need to chase, and I haven't been able to do that for a year now, and that's gets me frustrated because I've been a monkey for too long, and
I've got you.
It's not good for my head, you know.
Well, I'm sure we will cover, plans for the future, definitely, in this chat. How long do you have, first of all? And that'll cover.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Just
spot on.
Sat in my office here, so happy to go with the flow.
Awesome. Are you all right if we just crack on now then? Yeah. And we'll just take things as they come. It's really relaxed, mate. It's very easy going, this. It's just a chat. That's all we're doing. There's nothing formal. If you want to swear, feel free. If you want to drink, although it's 10 o'clock in the morning, feel free. But right then, folks, welcome to episode 42 of Brew Time. And this week, we have Sean Conway.
Hello,
how you doing?
Hello. I'm good, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. Thank you so much for coming on. It's really is appreciated. I've been following your amazing, some would say insane adventures for quite a while, and I can't wait to get into this and have a chat.
Well, thanks, mate. Although you should have warned me that I was going to be out-bearded. This is not good. This never happens to me, by the way. But you have trumped me on this one, mate. Well done.
The thing is, though, Sean, if you take your hat off, you it carries on. This is all I have. This is it. Awesome. Right. Well, the way I normally do this then is I'm predominantly, or certainly started off, based around motorcycles. That tends to be my thing, but it's more about people will throw things at the screen as soon as I mention it, because it's been about 2 minutes now. But I did a round the world trip back in the day on my bike, and that sort of kick-started me on the current journey I'm on. So I have, with the podcast, I'm trying to tailor it more about my mantra of live your life, of something my mum said to me before she passed away. Look after those that you love, but get on out there and live your life. So I'm trying to get people on this podcast who, for me at least, encapsulate that motto, that mantra, and you are one of those people. So for any of my crowd who, for whatever reason, have had their head in the sand and haven't heard of you before, can I pass it over to you for an introduction? What's your name? Where'd you come from? What do you do?
Oh God, I always hate this bit, and every time I do it, people go, "Be more ego." Don't
Everyone's the same.
So much. I know. Like, I did a podcast in America once, and then they asked me this question. I did my little bit, and they were like, "Right, yeah, no." Can you just be more American? Be less British.
God damn.
Well, I mean, I've spent the last decade, almost exactly now, being an endurance sports person, I guess. I get classed as an adventurer, but I'm more on the sports side of adventure, so I just try and go and break endurance records. And I've cycled around the world. I'm the fastest person to cycle across Europe. The first person to swim the length of Britain. I still hold the world's longest triathlon record, although that's currently being beaten as we speak. Swimming, cycling, and running is the three main disciplines I enjoy. But basically, I just try and break records in the 3 F's of endurance. You've got world's firsts, furthests, and fastest.
Yeah.
And that just kind of gives me a little bit of direction, and I need... For my mental health, I really need those big, scary, crazy goals to chase. And I find I thrive when I have those. If I don't have them, I get a bit agitated,
Yeah. Now, I mean, they just roll off the tongue. They trip off the tongue, those, don't they? The fastest cycle across Europe. Again, that's available. I watched that the other night. That's on Amazon, isn't it? That's incredible.
Yeah, Sean Conway, Europe or bust.
Phenomenal. You make it look so easy. You're one of these people that when you watch it, you think, I could give that a go. And then you actually look at it and go, no, I couldn't. Don't be ridiculous. I'm out of breath going a mile to the shops.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. The ultra-distance cycling stuff, I would say is 50% fitness. And the other 50% is just making good decisions, not cycling too fast, not cycling too slowly, finding good food and water, finding having the right amount of sleep, not too much sleep, not too little sleep. And it's less just about like, look at me, I'm so fit, I'm so strong, which is why women are some of the best ultra cyclists in the world, In all the big ultra races, a girl will sometimes win, or certainly be in the top 3 or top 5, because it's not all about brute strength, and that's all that men biologically have over women is physical sort of watts, if you put it that way. And you don't need that for ultra cycling. It's really a mind game.
Yeah.
And we all know women are much better at making decisions than men, so they're thriving at it. So people say, "Oh, I'm not fit enough for that." It really is only about 50% fitness, really.
Strength of mind thing, yeah.
Yeah, and it's logistics and just all the little tips about, if it's cold and wet and you get a puncture, you got to put your gloves inside your coat. So that when you fix the puncture, you're putting on warm gloves, then your hands aren't freezing. It's all those little things that you pick up over time.
I got you. Yeah, I had. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. The McLean brothers. They rode across the Atlantic last year in the Talisker Whiskey Atlantic race, and they were saying that they did all the physical training for it, and they were in peak physical prep, ready to go. But they said ultimately it comes down to strength of mind. It is just that grit and determination to just keep going that gets you through. Yeah. Right, well, shall we just fire on and start going through the questions? They tend to be very obscure at times. Sometimes they're to do with your background, your discipline. Other times they're not. They're just totally off the wall. So we'll just see where it takes us and go from there. How's that sound?
Yeah, hit me.
Awesome.
I like obscure.
Excellent. Well, we'll definitely get that. Right, first one we'll go to is over on Patreon. So it's patreon.com/TeapotOne. First one, Alex Warren. Hi, Sean, and congratulations on your achievements. Can you pinpoint the exact day you went insane? I'll just say I don't pre-read these questions.
So it's been boiling over for about 2 years, but the Irish in me just sort of subdued those feelings. And I do remember the exact moment. It was probably a couple of months before my 30th birthday.
Right.
And my girlfriend at the time broke up with me. My car got smashed into by a big truck. Basically, a big truck my car was in a car park and a truck lost control, smashed into that. Yeah. I remember losing a hard drive on my laptop, and it had years of photos on it. I used to be a photographer.
That's right, yeah.
And it had, hundreds of thousands of photos on it, and that was all lost. And I'm sort of approaching 30. So I just remember going, just life is rubbish at the moment. And I started deconstructing why I was feeling rubbish. And, having your car written off and you're losing your laptop and your girlfriend breaking up with you, that's all pretty rubbish stuff. But there was an underlying something. And it then was a few months went by, and I remember turning 30, and I think that was the actual day when I went, I'm now 30. I'm so old, but it just wasn't where I thought I would be at 30. Being a photographer, I really thought I was going to be this amazing travel photographer, traveling the world, working for big, travel magazines. And I wasn't. I'd set up a school portrait photography company, and that's what I was doing, school portraits. And I, unfortunately, was very good at it, which meant it was harder to walk away because the money was easy. It was an easy job. Yeah. Once we had the system in place, me and my business partner, James Carnegie, take the photos. We knew the best poses. We knew the poses that parents bought the most of. We would do those. We had an online ordering system, so we didn't have to deal with reprints or anything. It was just sort of do a contact sheet, send it to the parents. And the money was great. I was 22, 23. If I went in and photographed 100 kids at a nursery school, I would walk away with $2,000.
Oh, happy days.
For a day's work, there's a bit of editing, and of course there's a bit of admin, getting the nurseries to book you in the first place and blah, 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 but still, as a 22-year-old. And then, then a travel magazine would say, would you love to go up to Scotland and photograph this old man who lives in the woods and, or whatever. But, we'll pay for your travel and maybe 50 quid, and it's 2 days out of your time. You kind of go, well, I could do this really cool story about this old chap who's lived off grid for 20 years and there's going to be a feature in a magazine and I'll earn 50 quid. Or I could photograph a nursery and earn 2,000. It was difficult. What I should have done is just balanced it out. Done the £2,000 nursery, because we all need to do stuff for money, right? Like, there's no denying it. We need to eat, we need to provide for our families, we need to put a roof over our head.
Absolutely, yeah.
But so it's not as easy as just like, quit your job and go and do what you love. I'm not a big fan of just promoting that. I think it's too simplistic. So yeah, I should have just done a bit of both, but unfortunately I just said yes to all the money jobs and no to the fun creative stuff, and then turned 30 and was miserable.
And that was that, yeah. It's funny, like, talking with loads of different people who've accomplished different things and different genres, there always seems to be one little catalyst that, or it's maybe not pinpointed to an exact moment, but there's always something that's just, people hit that point where they go, I'm not accomplishing what I think I'm meant to be doing here, and people just make that switch. For me, it was the passing of my mum, and it was just like, she made me promise that I would live my dream and do this big trip, and for me it was just like, bang, right, okay, I'll do that, and that has taken me down this path. And for you, it's turning 30 and just thinking, I'm not doing what I want to be doing, where I thought I would be. And everyone just seems to have that one stage in life where they just, boom, that's it, okay, time for a change, let's go. Or you don't, or you have that moment and you don't do anything about it, and you're forever looking back going, I wonder what would have happened, I wonder if I could have done that. I just didn't want to get to that stage.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Right, next one. Roger White. To you both, you have 24 hours of freedom leaving your front door. Leaving your front door is the only restriction, and this clock starts the second you cross your front door. Where would you go? Oh, that's a good one. 24 hours. Where'd you go? What'd you do?
So, weirdly, when I was a photographer, James, my business partner, and I would do this exact challenge, actually. What? But actually, we didn't even give ourselves 24 hours. We gave ourselves the same day.
Right.
So we left our front door as early as possible that morning, so 4 a.m., and we had to be back in bed that night. And this was our Christmas party to ourselves, because we were the two directors. We had other photographers and photoshoppers and salespeople, but just for us, it was our little treat on what we could do in a day. So it wasn't even 24 hours. And it was great. We went to Barcelona for lunch once. We literally just got on a taxi, went to the airport, flew to Barcelona, had lunch, came back. The following year, we went snowboarding in Norway for the afternoon. So we flew into Oslo, took a train up into the mountains, snowboarded for like 4 hours, took the train back down, had a few beers, jumped on the plane, came back. Then one year I mean, this is all terrible for the environment, by the way. I'm just saying, like, it's not a great time. I mean, there's better things you could do, but we were young, and Ryanair flights were like 50 quid. So what else did once we flew to Slovakia for breakfast, then took the train to Austria for lunch, and then back to Slovakia for dinner, and then flew home. And I think we went to Italy one year as well. I think there was like 4 or 5 years where we did it. But certainly sort of going snowboarding for an afternoon in Norway, and it was so weird, you'd get out of your bed in the morning and you're like, today I'm going to be snowboarding in Norway, and I'm going to be back in my bed tonight. It was mad. And
then when you tell people the next day, what have you been up to? I went shopping, I did the shops. What about you? I was snowboarding in Norway.
Yeah, and also we had a budget as well. I think we only had 150 quid for both of us. So
wow.
Yeah, 70. I mean, this is when you could get flights to Norway for like £29 return, right? So actually, we still had like quite a lot of budget to spend when we were there, which was just beer, basically.
I was going to say, it costs you about 150 quid for a beer in Norway now.
Yeah, well, that is true. Yeah. But now, if I had to do that now, I'm really into, I've never done a 24-hour run. I've done 24 hours on a bike before, but I would run for 12 hours, and I would turn around and I would run back. I genuinely
just see how far you could get.
And just see how far I could get. Like I live in North Wales, so I would just go straight to the North Welsh coastal path, the Welsh coastal path, head west, see how far I could get, and then 12 hours later, turn around and come home. I think that would excite me a lot. So, I mentioned earlier, I'm classed as an adventurer, but I'm definitely more on the sports side of things, and certainly pushing myself physically and mentally for me is more exciting than just going and exploring somewhere. So that would be my 24-hour challenge.
That has your name all over it, doesn't it? I mean, that's a Sean Conway little film, definitely.
Yeah. Well, it's going to happen. Yeah, I'm really getting into sort of doing more filmmaking. I've just released my first short film that I've produced and directed myself.
Is that 496?
The 496 challenge film. It's on YouTube, so everyone check it out. Just search Sean Conway 496 challenge, and
I'll put links, folks. If you're listening to the podcast, it'll be in the show notes, and if you're watching the vid, it'll be in the description down below. It's well worth it. I watched it the other day. It's good. We'll get into that in a bit and tell people what that's all about.
Yeah, definitely. So, so that's, I think, what I do with my 24 hours.
Awesome. God, gee whiz.
What would you do? The question was to both of us.
I know. I was just thinking I should have been spending this time thinking, and it's just dawned on me. Right, 24 hours. Where would I go with 24 hours? Blimey, where can I
do
get
the same thing on a motorbike?
Hours?
Where could you get in 24 hours there and back?
Yeah, 12 hours. The problem with the bike is, if you're going to get the maximum distance, you've got to get on the motorway, and that is just mind-numbingly boring. So maybe a little challenge to see how far you can go in 12 hours without touching the motorway, or maybe without touching A road. No, you'd have to do A road, wouldn't you?
You could do the North Coast 500 easily.
Yeah.
You probably did it twice.
Well, I did it. I did it a couple of years ago. I did an around the UK on the bike in, I think, 4 or 5. I had a couple of days off in my old job, off work. So I just hit the road, and I did all backcountry roads and twisty routes. But I did the North Coast 500 in about, well, it wasn't just that. It was all of Scotland in about 17 hours, I think, 18 hours. But that was heavy going. That was hard work, Sat on a motorbike compared with somebody that's cycled around Europe.
Do you know what the world record is for motorbiking around the world?
What, the fastest? Yeah. Well, it used to be held by Nick Sanders.
19 days or whatever.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible, isn't it?
I don't know how that's possible.
And he tried to break the record for doing the length of the Americas, so from Prudhoe Bay up in Alaska down to Ushuaia.
Ushuaia.
That's it, yeah. And he only failed. He was set to smash it, but he just missed the last ferry to get across the last little bit down in Argentina. And he just missed the ferry for that, which then meant he would fail the record. So he just thought, well, I tell you what I'll do then is there's no record to go from Dead Horse to Ushuaia and back to Dead Horse. So he just did that. He got to Ushuaia, turned around and went all the way back to Dead Horse.
Yeah, that's crazy,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, for people who don't know Nick Sanders, he was a cyclist, so he had the round the world cycling record, and then he got into motorbiking after that. So bit of a.
He's done some amazing. Like he strapped 2 canal boats together and sailed them across the channel, didn't he?
Sounds like him.
It's nuts. Yeah, there's a picture of him literally like stood abreast 2 boats, one foot on each boat, and he's just chugging across the channel.
Good on him. Yeah.
I'd like to get him on actually, but I think you would probably start him off with one question, and 3 hours later that'll be one question, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Why not though? Why not?
Yeah, definitely. Good question, Roger. Like that one. Next one. Bully27. Hi, Sean. Your exploits are proper nails. I doff my cap to you, sir. How do you manage to keep going throughout the challenges you set yourself? And was the Forrest Gump running man look a conscious decision?
I'll address the Forrest Gump thing first. Yeah, it's a bit of fun, isn't it? You know, if you have a beard and you're doing a run, you might as well buy the Bubba Gump cap. You know, why not?
It is a fantastic representation. Well, check the photos out, folks. I'll put them probably in the thumbnail or something.
I mean, I'm not the only one. I mean, there's hundreds of people who've grown beards and done the Forrest Gump thing. I mean, someone's even recreated Forrest Gump's actual route from the film. So back across. Yeah.
Wow.
So, it was just a bit of fun. Why not? I probably wouldn't do it again now. I think if I'm doing a long run, I feel like I've done the Forrest Gump thing. So, you know, I've ticked that box. So anyway, but it was a good laugh. It was a good laugh. What keeps me going? Yeah, a couple of things. One, the practicality of giving up is I'm still in the middle of Russia or the middle of the Atacama Desert. You know, it's not like if I give up, I'm like, oh, magically just back home. You know, I'm still in the middle of nowhere. Yep. So I might as well just keep going. But more importantly, is actually, you know, as miserable as I am potentially on that time I want to give up, whether I'm cold, wet, hungry, or tired, or whatever, it's still a better scenario than me giving up and going back home.
Yeah,
you know, and it's only been I'm turning 40 in April. I've only been able to buy my first house last year, so I was 39 before I was even able to sort of get on the property ladder. So for the most part, I've lived, you know, I lived on a boat, you know, a pretty damp old boat for a while. I lived on my mum's sofa for like 3 or 4 years while I was just trying to make it as a sports person and you know, start winning. So, you know, it's only now that actually coming home would be a bit better and I've got a family and that. But up until 2 years ago, before I had my son, you know, it was actually better me being a bit miserable in the middle of the
on the road,
in the middle of the Atacama Desert than sort of going back and being in a 1-bedroom flat with my mother in Cheltenham. So and now it's just, you know, I know when you start winning in sports and that feeling and that confidence you get from it, it's so addictive, you know, and that's why sport has become so popular, because people start getting their own PBs, and that high you get, it just makes you want to chase something more and more. And you know, that's an amazing place to be, you know.
Definitely. And I think lockdowns maybe enhance that even more for a lot of people, and a lot of people have started doing a little bit of training. You know, they've been stuck at home, and to begin with, everyone was saying get out there, keep fit, get fit. So people have started to do stuff, and you can see in those people that actually have adopted some sort of fitness regime, their frame of mind, their mental strength, their mental health is so much better than those that have just locked themselves in a house and done nothing for lockdown, you know. And it can't help but benefit you in every sense, definitely, getting out there and doing something. What you said there about the thought of giving up, or you're actually better staying on the road than giving up and going home, well, that I can relate to that 100%, because on my trip I had a bad time in West Africa, which led me to make a decision to come back to the UK for a little bit. And that sort of low when I got back to the UK sort of 3 months after leaving, thinking, oh God, I'm a total failure, you know, I've let everybody down, blah 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 blah. That low, when I got going again, basically just kept me going for the rest. All the low doubt, all the bad days, you think back to that low that you were at, and even to this day, you know, that mental position, that mental frame of mind of just keep going, one foot in front of the other, and you will accomplish what it is you're setting out to do. Just keep going. Whatever's in front of you, go round it, go over it, go under it, figure out a way, and just keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's maybe something that so I benefited from, and I think probably a lot of people will face that in their life at some point, whatever journey it is you're going on. Whether it's a challenge like you undertake, or business, or personal life, or whatever it is. When you give up, I think you just need to learn from it, don't you? Don't give up totally. You just need to learn that things don't always work out how you plan. Just keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. 100%. There's more than one way to climb a mountain. So
absolutely, absolutely. Right, we'll do one more little question, and then we'll have a little chat about some of the stuff you've done. Then, next one, Rob Bignell. You're a better man than me. I cycle 10 miles a day trying to get the weight I've lost. What's that say? To get the weight? Weight off. I have lost 4 stone in 2 years. Good on you, Rob. While swimming. Wow. What's the worst thing you've swallowed with all the detritus that's left in our seas and waterways?
So weirdly, I actually got pretty good at avoiding any salt water in my mouth. The salt water in your mouth really makes your tongue blister and peel and that. And I got to this technique where any water that went in, so I'm breathing to my right, I'd sort of puff out my cheek that was lower, so that the water wouldn't touch my tongue, and it would sort of stay in the cheek that I puffed out, and then I'd sort of spit it out the side. And that eventually just became muscle memory, which was great, which meant I didn't sort of have the horrible tongue thing, the saltwater tongue. But there were a few times, and the crew, when I swam Britain, we would call it whale vomit. And I don't know what it is, but you see it in the ocean. When the ocean's really busy, there's all that foamy stuff
that
happens. And I don't know what's in it, but it smelt disgusting. And it smelled like what I guess whale vomit smelled like. I don't know what whale vomit smells like, but swimming, like sometimes you just can't avoid it. And I'm having to swim right through all this like bubbly, foamy gunk and sewage probably. So yeah, a bit of that was pretty bad. So yeah, that was pretty disgusting. But for the most part, you just can't afford to swallow anything, really. That's not just water when you do big swims, because that could be the end of you, So yeah, you take it pretty seriously.
Now, again, this just rolls off the tongue. When I swam Britain, let's sort of quantify this a little bit for those that aren't aware completely. Now, you have ran the length of Britain, you've cycled the length of Britain, so from like John O'Groats to Land's End to John O'Groats, but you also swam it. What sort of distance are we talking there? Just to quantify that for people.
I think the swim is 900 miles. Like if you just draw it out, it's about 900. You end up swimming more because the tide pushes you left and right, and there's little coves you go in, but I didn't count those. But it's about 900 miles, I think, somewhere there.
Wow. And how long was that? How long did that take?
I thought it would take 2.5 months. But we had some bad weather days, and the support boats I could afford was tiny, and it wasn't very powerful. So I'd lose loads and loads of tide just getting from the anchorage where we slept that night back out to where I'd finished swimming the day before. So yeah, it took me 4.5 months in the end. So from basically the beginning of July till, halfway through November, pretty much.
Oh my God. And was this like on the world's biggest triathlon? You were towing a little barge behind you that had like your tent, because you would for that one you would swim on shore, wouldn't? At the end of your day's swim or evening, you would come onto shore, set up a camp, sleep in your tent, and get up in the morning, swim back out to where you finished the previous day, and keep going. So you were towing essentially a little trailer behind you. Did you do pretty the same on the? Was that the same on the length of Britain swim?
No. I mean, dare I say it would be impossible, but because nothing's impossible, but it almost is impossible to do a length of Britain self-supported swim because there's too many cliffs in Scotland, for example. When the tide changes, if you're not at a beach to go to shore, all you're going to do is be pushed back the way you came.
Right.
And actually, if you're so tired, you may not reach that beach you started in, and you could forever just be in this body of water moving between two beaches you can't get to. So, maybe someone will prove me wrong. Maybe maybe there are enough beaches to get to, but I'd find that very difficult. It's parts of the west coast of Scotland, there's 20 miles between safe places to go ashore, really. So I had a little sport boat, a little yacht following me, which was fun. There was three, there's four of us in total, three in the boat, and it was a good old Great British Adventure.
It's fantastic. What made you come up with that idea? I mean, when did that pop into your head? You just think, well, I've ran it, I've cycled it.
I hadn't run it yet. I had cycled it. Yeah. So I just finished my round the world cycle, and I got run over on that one, so I didn't get that record. Got back living with my mum at 31 years old in a one-bedroom flat on the sofa, and she was basically getting annoyed with me. And
so I need to disappear for a while.
Basically, yeah. And sorry, man, I'm gonna have to blow my nose because
no problem.
I thought I had COVID, but it's just the flu. One more.
Bless you.
Thanks.
It's all those ice baths.
I know. So anyway, I'm living with my mum in a one-bedroom flat, and she's getting as annoyed as you can imagine having a 31-year-old living with her. And I just thought, and at the time I was also on the dole trying to get jobs. So I'd done my round the world cycle, which although I finished it, I didn't get the record. And I thought, well, I've had my year away traveling and seeing the world. Let me just get back into employment. So came home, signed on, went to the job center, just applied for loads of jobs. Some photography jobs, mainly cycling related jobs. So jobs with like Sustrans and bike shops and bike works. Anything that was cycling related. But yeah, for like 6-7 months, I didn't even get one interview. So eventually I thought, well, maybe if I just go and plan some new adventure, I'll get sponsorship, which will sort of allow me to buy food type thing, and it'll get me out the house. So basically, I kind of became an adventurer because I was skint. I kind of had to. It was just a way for me to do something, get some funding from sponsors, and get me out the house type thing. And that's when I thought of doing the swim. I wanted to do something in Britain. I loved my cycle when I cycled Land's End John Groats in 2008. And, I just wanted to do something in Britain. And a swim seemed like a fun thing. Like I saw Dave, at the time, Dave Cornthwaite was swimming down the Missouri River. And I saw his posts, and it looked idyllic. He'd be swimming along, and then they'd set up camp on the shore with a nice fire. And, he had some crew, and they're all laughing, drinking beers. I thought, man, this is easy. This will be great fun. It's very, so that's what I thought. And I also thought it had been done. Like I was adamant that someone had done it before me. So my initial thoughts was maybe I could be the fastest person to swim the length of Britain.
Yeah.
And then I soon discovered that no one had done it. And then it became a world's first. So, I've got my 3S, first, furthest, and fastest. So I went from fastest to a first, which, throws up a whole new level of logistical nightmares because, there's a lot of big things you do now. You've got other people to ask for advice for, whether it's mountaineering, running, cycling, whatever, climbing. But, even if you're doing a world's first climbing route, you still have the skill and there's still people you can ask for advice on how to climb and do things. But with swimming, it really is just really uncharted territory, No one had done at the time a really big coastal sea swim like that. All the other big swims were river swims. And this is when the river versus sea swimmer fighters, it's great. They're like, you're in a wetsuit and you're buoyant because it's salt water. And I'm like, yeah, you could just float down a river,
Yeah.
But yeah, Martin Stroll swam the Amazon, the Yangtze, and the Danube, I think. Dave Portwaite swam the Missouri, and so these are river swims, which are very different. You've got... the water's dirtier, usually it's more polluted river swims.
There's things that bite you, sting you, and eat you.
Yeah, exactly. There's logs in the water that you can't see, and that was a big thing for Dave. There'll be a big log this deep in the water, and when you're swimming, it just hits your chest. And remember, this log is stuck in the water, and the stream is, you're going downstream at maybe 5 miles an hour, and you just hit this log in your chest, right? Wow. But then, with a river swim, you're making distance without swimming, right? Whereas a sea swim, it's cleaner for the most part. There's good visibility. It's fun because you see fish and things and dolphins and seals. You're in salt water, which is you're a little bit more buoyant. You feel cleaner at the end of each day in salt water, I find, than if you do a sort of a dirty river swim.
Right.
But you don't have, you have tide to help you, but then you've also got massive waves and, and no one had done a big coastal river swim. A French guy, Ben Lecomte, had swum across the Atlantic, kind of, people question whether he drifted at night in the boat because of the Gulf Stream. You can't, if you finish swimming in a day, it's almost impossible to keep in that position because of the Gulf Stream and the winds. So I think what happened is when he finished swimming, he just drifted at night and then got back in because he swam it way too quickly, basically.
How quickly did he cross the Atlantic then?
I think 3 months. People have rowed it slower.
Absolutely.
And I think someone worked out that his average swimming speed was like 8 miles an hour, which But I don't think he was lying. I don't think he was lying to anyone. I just think he said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to swim all day and then get in the boat and we'll try and hold position. And if we can't, I'll just get back in and keep swimming. And he still swam for 3 months.
It's still a fantastic achievement, isn't it?
It's pretty hard, It's pretty hard.
Pretty hard.
Yeah. So, other than him, there's very few people out there who I could have asked for advice. There was an Italian guy who sort of did a couple of overnighters, and he also used to drag a raft, and he'd just swim from island to island in the Med. But yeah, doing a sort of quite a cold water swim up the coast, no one had done before back in 2013 or the end of 2012 when I was planning it. And yeah, it was just hard to get advice from people when A, no one knew what it was really like, and B, most people thought I was kind of wasting my time, especially because I'm a non-swimmer. I'm 5'7", maybe 5'8", on a good day. So I'm short. I'm not very powerful. I don't have big, powerful shoulders. I can swim. I knew how to swim, but I don't know. I'm not that strong.
You also say you're not a runner, but you ran the length of the country.
Yeah, but I mean, I did it slower than Eddie Hazard would have done it. So
he is. I would love to get him on here. Wow, that guy is. That's incredible. What the things that he's doing at the moment.
He's actually nearly run me over, literally.
Has he?
Yeah, I was walking down Regent Street one day. I was going to do, I think, Radio 2. I was doing an interview with Chris Evans when he was on Radio 2 back in the day, early morning. So it was like 7 a.m. Yeah. And I'm walking down Regent Street past a hotel. And the next thing, it was like a bit of a frenzy. And this guy ran out and into me. It was like, whoa, sorry, man. And then right into a taxi. And then it was gone. I was like, oh, that's Eddie Hazard. And I later heard him on another, I think he was on Radio 1 or something. I don't know. But yeah, he was obviously late for something.
To go somewhere,
yeah, he's amazing. For his, his sort of body type and his history or lack thereof in running to be able to do what he's done is amazing.
And he was doing it barefoot as well, wasn't he? He does a lot of barefoot running. So really? I used to, my job, but before I sort of went full time doing all this, I used to be a police officer, believe it or not. I worked in diplomatic protection in London, so I was at Downing Street and all, the coppers you see stood outside embassies and consulates around London. That's basically what I used to do. And we used to see Eddie Izzard running up and down Whitehall sometime, just out on his runs, and he's running barefoot in central London. You're like,
wow. Yeah, I know. Braver man than me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that makes whale vomit seem like a walk in the park.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right, let's crack on with some more questions, because there are loads. Mark Fulcher. Evening, me ducks. Question to you both. I'm pretty sure that we're all guilty of purchasing the odd snack when visiting the old petrol station. I know I can't resist grabbing a tin full of Fat Coke and a Yorkie Duo raisin and biscuit or Twix. What are your go-to treats when visiting such an establishment? I suppose you can eat anything.
Yeah, but I don't agree with sugar, physically. I eat it. I have sugar in my tea, which my wife thinks is hilarious, because I'm like this anti-sugar guy, but I can't do it, man. I can't have tea without sugar. I've tried. Right. I've tried so hard as well. I grew up in Africa where tea is a sweet drink. It's sort of a dessert drink, you have it at the end of your meal and it's sweet and it's a bit of dessert. And I've never shaken it, I don't really have that much sugar. I'm also gluten intolerant, which makes actually most of service station food inedible, really. But interestingly, I have quite a lot of experience in this exact matter, because I've just done this 496 challenge, as we mentioned earlier. Yeah. And as the mileage was ramping up, I'd explain the 496. If you run 1 kilometer on the 1st of January, and then 2 kilometers on the 2nd, 3 on the 3rd, and so on, you eventually obviously run 31 kilometers at the end of January. If you add that all together, it's 496 kilometers. So even on my blackboard, which is just the wall in my office, I have all my running days there. But certainly from about 16, 17K on, I would be running far enough to have to stop and eat. Not have to, but want to stop and eat. And there was this one service station near me on my loop. And I don't know, I don't really have that many treats. I'm quite headstrong in what I need to eat. But I would buy almost the same thing every single loop that I would do when I went past the service station, and that was a bag of trail mix, which is just nuts and raisins, and I think sometimes there would be a little chocolate-covered raisins as well in that one. I'd buy an apple. I would buy a packet of crisps and a coffee. Those 4 things every time, because there's no gluten in any of that. There's a little bit of sugar in the apple. There's lots of protein and fat in the nuts and raisins, and the coffee's just kind of nice, warms you up. And also caffeine does help metabolize carbohydrates a little bit as well. And the crisps are great. Crisps on average are 500 calories per 100 grams. Salt in it, good salt in it, good, not good fat, but there's fat in it, and carbohydrates. So that would be my go-to thing, really. But yeah, I'm not really one for... every now and then, if I feel I've got a sugar low, I'll just buy a bag of sweets and just have a few, just because I'm feeling, because you need sugar, It's not just, I'm not a big fan of just cutting all sugar out permanently. I think it's good to do that and just see how you feel. We're all got different body types. We've all got different blood types. We all have different diets. It works for some people. It doesn't work for other people. But certainly, I do limit my processed food as much as possible. But probably a bag of sweets.
Beer takes a prominent place in your diet, I've noticed. It made me laugh when you were talking about the 496, because in that 496 documentary, folks, again, links down below, when you hit the final day, It's day 31. When you get to the halfway point, you stop and have a can of beer, and and then carry on the rest of the run with this beer. And I was just now that is a man I could get on with, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to take myself too seriously, and of course, if I'm really operating at a really high sort of endurance level, then alcohol's terrible for your recovery mainly. Right. When I did my across Europe cycling world record, where that was really, really tough. I think I maybe had one beer in the middle, and then I had a couple towards the end, at the end of each day. As long as you plan your moments to have a beer, you need to be super hydrated beforehand.
Yeah.
And for me, that means having a lot of salt beforehand, a lot of liquid just to keep my body fully hydrated. Because as soon as you have a beer, it stops your body absorbing the liquid, and it makes you pee a lot as well. So, you're just going to dehydrate yourself. And the same with caffeine. You need to be kind of careful on the caffeine front as well if you're dehydrated. But it is nice, sometimes, like the early Tour de France cyclists, they would have bottles of wine in their jerseys. There's amazing footage in the Tour de France. They say it was the earliest form of doping. Yeah. Because you remember back in the day, Tour de France stages were like 500 kilometers long. So they were sort of self-supported, A to B, 500 kilometers. You had to carry your own spare tires and things like that, right? Wow. So they would say, the alcohol, you still feel the pain, you just care less about it, So, but, again, I'm not this full-on professional sports person, and that's not who I'm trying to be. I want to push myself personally as far as I can. And, some people say maybe I'm not pushing myself hard enough if I could still have a beer. But, it's balance, right,
What I loved on that 496 challenge was, I mean, for a man like you, literally running a kilometre and 2 kilometres. In fact, you even said yourself, until sort of the 16 plus kilometre mark, it was just, it doesn't even feel like a run that you've done. So one day you dressed as a dinosaur. You had like one of these inflatable fancy costumes on. Yeah. So you did, was it something like a 6 or 7K run or something, dressed as a dinosaur?
Yeah. It was really difficult to run in. And actually the batteries kind of didn't work. So I'd sort of have to turn it on and off. And
right.
It was fun. It was fun. I'm the local idiot now in my village.
Brilliant. Like one of the challenges you set was picking up litter whilst you were running. So you did like a litter pick. Great ideas. Fantastic things to be doing.
From our house, there's 2 loops. We call it short loop and long loop that we do. You can do short loop in a lunch break. So Caroline and I, my wife, we, it's exactly 3 kilometers short loop. Yeah. And long loops 5K. So I thought, well, I'll do long loop because we do these loops all the time, and I seem to think there's not that much litter. I thought, I was pretty impressed actually. So I did long loop, but actually I got to 2K. It was a 5K day that I was meant to do, and I got to 2K, and I ran another half K to get to 2.5K, and then ran back the same way I'd come, instead of carrying on and doing the whole. Because you had so much. Because I just filled I should have had a bigger backpack. Wow. And there was a lot of the litter, truthfully, was stuff that had fallen out the recycling truck. The recycling truck comes and they just throw it in the side and 1 or 2 cans. So a lot of the litter in the village, I really believe, wasn't people littering, which is nice to know, But then, once you're out in the back lanes, that was bad. There's beers over the hedges, which has meant someone has actually wound down the window. Firstly, they're having a beer in their car, which is dodgy. It's probably a passenger, of course. We need to presume it's a passenger. But they're going along. They wound down their window. They finished their beer, and they've just gone over the hedge. And I'm just like, someone's taught them that, And I just don't know how or why they think that is acceptable, you know.
Yeah, it emphasises that it's a conscious decision they've made to do it, isn't it? Yeah.
And, you know, because sometimes you see litter out on the fells, and I'm a firm believer that a little Snickers wrapper out on the fells is someone who's, you know, put it in his pocket and then put his phone in, and then when they take their phone out, it's fallen out and they've not known about it. I think for the most part, people don't want to litter, and some of that litter has just happened kind of by mistake or carelessness, and it's not actively someone putting it out there. And that's probably certainly true for some of the stuff. You know, my son threw a wrapper out the window the other day in the car without, you know, luckily I saw him and I stopped and I picked it up. But, you know, he doesn't know any different. He's 19 months old, you know. It's like, oh, this is fun. Oh, it's flapping in the wind. Oh, I dropped it. Yeah. You know, so I do think that most people are pretty conscientious. But there's certainly some stuff where you just think, this is deliberate, and that's not good, you know.
Yep, absolutely. Right, next question. Right, Pete English. Now, Pete is a regular on the podcast. He's been on himself, actually, as a guest, and he's quite famed for his unique style of questioning. So let's see what he's got in store for you. Hi, guys. Hope you're both fitting well. Question. What's the one bad habit that you wish that you could get rid of, and how does it hamper your enjoyment of life? He's not let us down. Nice.
Very, very good. A bad habit. I mentioned this earlier. I don't know if we were off air before. I'm a monkey terrier, and I enjoy both. I enjoy being a monkey when I'm a monkey. I'm inquisitive. I like to fix things. I like to break things and then fix them again. I like to try new things. I like to burn myself, and, you know, and I really enjoy that part of my personality. I really enjoy it. But I can't be a monkey all the time. If I'm a monkey all the time, I get frustrated. And I need terrier mode. So I then turn into terrier mode. And that's why I feel I'm probably quite good at as an endurance sportsman, because I'm able to get into terrier mode when I need to get into terrier mode, and I chase something and it's blinkers on and I go for it. The problem is I don't often have control when I'm a monkey or when I'm a terrier. Right. And sometimes that makes me quite annoying to be around, and my wife finds it pretty annoying because, for example, you know, I'm digging this hole in the garden to build a bit of a fire pit, so we can have a bit of an outdoor area.
Oh, is that what it's for?
Goal,
right.
Yeah. My goal for 2021 is to try and do as many things outdoors that I maybe ordinarily would do indoors. So I already have an outdoor shower. So I only shower outside in natural light. It has hot water and everything, so it's fully plumbed in with hot water. And yeah, I do have cold showers as well. But, you know, I only shower outside now. It's also the best shower in our house. You know, the inside one is not a hard sell, because the inside ones are those piddly little electric ones that just like drip on your head, whereas the outside one is like this massive rain shower. So, yeah, it's not a hard sell getting me to shower outside. I'm putting in an outside bath as well, so that when I want to have a bath, it's, you know, and really nice. You know, this is Pinterest material outdoor bath, you know, on a wooden deck with some ferns around it and some nice lighting. You know, it's gonna be epic.
So not your wheelie bin ice bath that you.
Not my wheelie bin. I've still got that. That's still down there. That's, you know, that has a place.
Get on Sean's Instagram again. I'll put links down below. But your homemade ice bath was basically when he finished some of his runs in the depths of winter. There was snow. He'd fill a wheelie bin up with water from outside, and then chuck load of ice in it, and then get in it.
Yeah, it was. It works. Yeah, it really does work.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So now I'm digging this area out to make an outdoor seating fire pit. So instead of sitting in front of the TV at night, I want to go and sit outside and, you know, sit in front of the fire, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll be sitting having dinner with my family, and I'll notice like something wrong with, you know, the bit that I've dug, and maybe there's a bit that I need to dig a bit lower because it's not all flat yet. And I'll be like, all of a sudden, you know, stop talking. I'll be like, eating.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, right, are we done? Right, I got to go buy it. And then I need to go, because I have to, in my head, there's this bit that I haven't dug properly, and I need to go dig it right now. And my wife's like, we're having dinner, come on. So that's the annoying bit is I don't know when to turn off my sort of terrier, my work mode. And my wife finds that really frustrating. And I find it frustrating because, actually, if I just said, right, you're going to do stuff from 9 to 5, and that's when you do your stuff, and then afterwards you don't do work. Mm-hmm. But I struggle with that because I quite enjoy not having routine.
Yeah,
it's part of the reason I chose this job is that I can work from home. I can be around my family. This afternoon we're going to go do the long loop. At 2:00. Mm-hmm. On a Friday. Why not? Because I work from home and I have that flexibility, right? So so I fight in my head a lot with this concept of just turning off and chilling out and mm-hmm. maybe watching a bit more TV type thing. I'm not very good at that, but I think there's a place for it. I think there's a place for just sitting down, relaxing, having a nice whiskey, and watching. What's my wife watching now? Dawson's Creek. Why not?
Dawson's Creek. It's about 40 years old.
Maybe I'll get into it. Who knows? But, I think that's the one thing that I struggle with every day is just this balance between sort of working and not working and average, just taking some time out to relax because, burnout is real,
Absolutely, yeah. It's. I think anyone that's self-employed will go through the same sort of thing. That's my first year now being self-employed, and I found I'd work, 15, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm loving it.
Yeah, but you're loving it. That's the problem.
I'm doing what I enjoy. But I remember I had a guy on this podcast who's an American motorcycle YouTuber called Chase on Two Wheels, and he's one of the biggest in the world now. And chatting with him, he was like, I got to that stage, and then I suddenly realised that I'm letting other parts of my life slip, like his relationship with his wife and friends and all that. So he makes a conscious decision now. He works Monday to Friday, 9 till 6. As soon as 6 o'clock comes, everyone in his sort of film crew knows that's it. Boom, that's Chase done. He's switching off and going. So I thought to myself, over Christmas, New Year, I took a week or two off there just to spend time with my wife. And I thought, right, I'm going to try and do this sort of Monday to Friday, office hours. Let's try. And I just can't get into it. I much prefer to work when I'm in the mood to work. And if I'm in the mood to work 15, 16 hours sat at the computer doing it, then do it because I'm in the mood. So, I'm going to create my best stuff when I'm in the mood to. When other times you get up and you sit in front of the computer and I'm like, I'm just not feeling this today. Yeah. You end up sat there for 3 hours looking at a screen thinking, I can't be bothered, and so exactly. Yeah, I don't think I'm ready for that sort of routine yet. I'm just going to go back to working whenever and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, Paul Wells, hi to you both. As you're both sporting fair amounts of facial growth, what is the most disgusting thing you've found trapped in them? Beard foraging. Yeah.
A friend of mine put an Argos pencil in my beard once and I only found it like 4 hours later. Without me knowing, we're in the pub and it was a bit like, hey, Sean, how's it going? All this diversion tactics. He slipped it in the side here. No, what have I found in my beard? A tick. Had ticks in my beard.
Did you?
Times, actually, and I'm like, how did they get there? They've obviously rubbed off on my legs and then crawled all the way up somehow and then buried right in there. I've had that a few times. What else have I had? I've had a big beetle cycling along, like a massive beetle, one with the real spiky legs. Yeah. And then it's like you can't get it out, the wings are going everywhere.
And it's stuck in. Oh.
Yeah, massive beetle. I've had that a few times. Don't know if I've had anything really disgusting. My son once vomited all over my beard.
Nice.
I was like, when he was really young, he must have been only about 5-6 months old. I was sort of picking him up in the air going, oh, Gucci, Gucci, Gucci. And he just vomited.
Wow.
And it was just like all in my beard. I was like, and we were in a restaurant. So I wasn't even at home. So now I'm like sitting in this restaurant with, you know, this like white beard of vomit and milk. And,
delightful. My wife hates it when my top lip's wet. So like if you have a drink of anything, then obviously it gets all wet around there, doesn't it? And you're forever going, well, she just hates that, so she won't kiss me anymore. And I just find if you eat anything, I think I've got past that stage now, but when it gets to a certain length, I would always, every time I'd bring like a fork to my mouth, I'd always bring beard with it. So I would end up with some beard in my mouth. So meal times could be sort of like feeding a 4-month-old sometimes.
Yeah. I hold mine's quite short now, but when mine was sort of your length, I would just have to hold it back to eat, to be honest.
Yeah,
and it was just I didn't even know I was doing it until people would be like, oh, "Look how he has to eat." I was like, "Oh God, yeah." exactly.
a forkful, pat it down. Yeah. I don't think I've caught anything horrendous in my beard. When I'm on the motorbike with my lid during the summer, I just let the beard go free. So the helmet stops there, and then the beard's flapping about underneath. So you get the odd little flying beasties and stuff in there, but I've not had anything like you've had. As far as I know, I've not had ticks and, and beetles and stuff.
Talking of beard problems, how are you doing masks at the moment? I'm finding that a real struggle.
It's a token effort, isn't it? It's like, okay.
It goes up and then, I think at the moment I found a buff mask. Yeah. So it's actually made with proper like surgical stuff, and it has the bit for your nose, you know, the bit of wire, but then is a buff, so it goes all the way down. So that's the only thing that works for me at the moment. Yeah,
definitely that'll work. I'm actually a presenter on a new motorbike TV show. Excuse me. On Amazon that's starting filming soon. So we had to go and do some like pre-shoots and publicity shots and stuff last weekend in the studio, and they had these little like branded show masks to wear, and mine literally looked like a Speedo. It sat across here. That was it. If I pulled it up onto my nose, then my mouth was free, and if I pulled it down, my nose was free. I just said we can just do that, and then filter it out. Job done. Right, next one. Rory Tinsley. Hi guys, question. At the end of a day's freezing swim, how do you coax your nuts back out from inside your body? So how do you warm up at the end of a day's swim?
So just drink hot meal. Just have something hot, basically, and get warm from the inside. And there's actually a technique you can do where it's hard to explain, but let's see if I can do a thing here. I'll have to stand back.
You're not going to get your nuts out on.
No. So basically, you stand up, you have your arms like this, and you bounce up and down with your shoulders.
Seriously?
Apparently, and that gets you really warm. Hold on.
Wow.
I can't hear you. I have to put this back in.
Seriously?
Yeah. So basically, if you do that, it really works. I find it works better than waving your arms around because that kind of gets your hands cold, I think.
Wow.
But yeah, do the penguin shuffle.
Do the Bollywood shuffle.
Yeah, exactly. So that works. Just run. Or what I find is, depends how long you swim for, of course. If you're really warm before the swim, that internal body warmth helps when you get out. If you're only going for a couple of minutes, like in freezing water, if you've sprinted there and you're really, out of breath and you're warm, that kind of helps. Or you should just swim faster.
Stop taking it easy.
Then you'll be warmer when you get out. So.
Did you struggle with that then on the coast, the length of Britain swim, or even on the triathlon swim? Did you not find that you were battling like hypothermia at stages. You must have. You can't keep warm all the time when you're in the sea, surely.
Yeah, no, I was freezing the whole time. Yeah, I was back in 2013. I wasn't too clued up on nutrition. I mean, I was, but also there was a bit of a budget thing. I didn't really have enough money to get good nutrition, and also the boat had this terrible old paraffin stove which never worked. So we're trying to cook for 4 people on a jet boil, pretty much. So, you're really limited on what nutrition you can have with a jet boil. So, even my porridge in the morning was just cold with water. So it's oats, flat oat, rolled oats with water, which is pretty disgusting, and
it's good Scottish.
So I was pretty behind on my nutrition, which really, really didn't do me any favors,
Wow.
When I did my longest triathlon swim, which was only 120 mile, I was a lot better on the nutrition side. So I was eating better. That really helps. Really, really helps. The swimming Britain, I was just constantly cold, and I'd lost loads of weight, and I also wasn't strong enough as a swimmer. So I really was swimming quite slowly. I was probably only swimming 1 mile an hour, which is pretty slow. So I wasn't getting warm that way. Not having enough food. It's just millions of reasons that I wasn't doing myself any favors. Had I had a bigger boat, I think that's what it came down. If I'd had a bigger support boat, I'd have got better sleep. I would have been able to warm up before I got in the water, because the boat was so small. You can't even do star jumps because it was freezing. I was also putting on a freezing wetsuit, so the wetsuit's outside because it's stank of pee. And it was 3 or 4 or 5 degrees outside. So I'm putting on a wetsuit that was already freezing cold. Couldn't warm up before, and then didn't have a cooker or a stove to eat substantial meals. So I was eating these sort of ready meals, boil in a bag meals. So we could kind of just about get those. But I also didn't realize I was gluten intolerant. So I would sort of have loads of pasta and then feel really bloated and have kind of not diarrhea, but like really runny tummy as well.
Yeah.
So there was loads of reasons that, I probably would have done it a month quicker had I just had a bigger boat. Like genuine. I would say almost certainly a month quicker. So I spent 30 days, swimming for just purely because I logistically made things difficult for myself.
Wow. Now you said there's somebody breaking the round the UK record as we speak. Is that right? Is that Ross? Is that chap Ross?
No. So Ross became the second person to swim Land's End John O'Groats, and then the show off went and carried on to the whole lap. Bloody hell.
He's an utter machine, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a machine, man. Yeah, he's amazing. I mean, and he did exactly what I should have done, which is have a bigger support boat and start a month earlier. Those two things were the made my life a lot more difficult, having a small support boat and starting in July. And he's a machine, and he's really knowledgeable on nutrition and science and stuff like that. So it was amazing, his swim. No, the record that's currently been broken is the world's longest triathlon. And actually it's a guy called Jonas Deichmann. He's done the swim leg already. He's now on the cycle leg. And I think he's just trying to get me back because I broke his across Europe cycling world record.
Right. That chap. Yep.
And now he's trying to break my triathlon world record. So, and he's smashing it. He already broke. So as part of that triathlon, I inadvertently got the record for the longest self-supported swim, like completely self-supported, where you just have you're dragging your own raft with all your kit and stuff. And mine was 200K. I think his was 400 or 450K.
Wow.
And he's done that already now. So he's on track to smash it. So it's great. And he's a good guy, Jonas, and so we help, he was helping me with his Europe record, and now I'm helping him to break my record. It's quite a cool little setup we got going on,
So are we going to see you revisit that record yourself then? Or?
Oh, no. No. Too miserable. I've done my time, man. I've done my time.
Which one was it? Was it the triathlon cycle or the Europe cycle you did on the bamboo bike?
The triathlon.
That was a triathlon. So you bought that bike on Amazon, is that right? You bought like an Amazon...
Well, Instagram, actually, yeah. Instagram. So, yeah, there was... I saw it on Instagram, and it was a charity in Vietnam, actually, helping single mothers with employment, building these bamboo bikes and selling them. So I thought it'd be nice to support that charity. I think it was a nice initiative. I like the idea of doing something on something that was once a tree. Yeah. Like that kind of tickled me a little bit. And also I wanted to show people that you don't need a £10,000 fancy bike to be able to go off and do one of these long adventures. It was great. It's a really comfortable ride, actually. The bike's heavy. It was a heavy frame. Yeah. I think, the whole bike came in at maybe 14, 15 kg, so that's pretty heavy. But the ride was comfortable. I mean, the bike itself wasn't made particularly well, sadly. And it was all wonky and stuff. But,
it was squint, wasn't it?
Yeah. The front wheel was 10 centimeters off to the right. So, cars were stopping at traffic lights going, mate, stop cycling, your wheel's about to fall off, Yeah. So I was in this constant sort of like, and then the seat post was angled at the other direction. So it was like this real weird angle. But
and tell people how far you cycled on that bike.
It was like 3,300 miles in the end, maybe 3,500. Can't remember now.
on a bike that was like this.
Yeah, but yeah, just is what it is. Get on with it. There's nothing I can do about it. And I kind of liked that it was a bamboo bike. When I got up every morning to get on Matilda, the bamboo bike, I was like, this is cool. She's cool. Yeah. Like it inspired me to get on the bike, so that was important.
Yeah, definitely. Again, it's something different, isn't it? It's something unique.
Yeah, exactly.
Good on you. Next question, Adam Sheard. Hi guys, hope you're both well. First question for you both. When the going gets tough, do you have one thing that you mentally focus on that gets you through, or does it vary depending on the time or the challenge? Ooh.
I don't have one thing. I have a list of things. I call them the 5 pistons of endurance, which is food, water, sleep, muscle management, and motivation. And I'm just constantly analyzing all of those. How much food I'm getting, what type of food, what's the carb, fat, protein ratio on it. Is it fresh food? Is it processed food? Because I don't often have a lot of choice. I just got to eat what I can find. That's water. How much water am I drinking? How much salt do I need to absorb that water? How heavy is that water to carry? When is my next water stop? So that, there's no point in carrying 3 kgs of water if you can get water in the next hour. Yeah. Muscle management. Do I need to stretch? Do I need ice baths? What do I need to do for that? What's my motivation? What's keeping me going? For me, audiobooks really help. It used to be music. It's now almost entirely audiobooks. And podcasts and that sort of thing, and sleep's the last one. How much sleep am I getting? Where do I sleep? Because sometimes you need to sleep before a town so that when you wake up in the morning, you can get food and then carry on going. That means you might need to cut your day short, which means you have to have different amount of sleep that particular day, which means you've got to think a little bit differently for the following day, because there's no point in getting to a town at 10 o'clock at night where everything's closed and passing it and not having another town for 100 miles.
Gotcha.
So you're going to have to, but ideally, if you've only worked that out now, you've cocked up already. You need to have worked that out the day before so that if I'm cycling and it's midday today, I already know roughly where I'm going to sleep the following night.
Yeah.
And whether that's going to be before or after a big town where I can get food.
Gotcha.
So you're constantly working out all these things. So food, water, sleep, muscle management, motivation. It's just, and maths, average speed. Am I ahead of the record? Am I behind the record? What's road surfaces like? What's the wind direction like? What average speed should I be pushing? Perception of effort, all these sort of things, just constantly going. And then I'm also the other side of me, the monkey side. That's the terrier side. The monkey side is going, oh, look, there's a dead animal on the side of the road. I'm going to pick up the skull and tie it to the front of my handlebars. So call him Pedro.
You were talking about your. You also have your. Is it the 3 C's that you have in the morning?
Yeah, coffee, cake, and a crap.
That's right. Yeah.
That's what you need every morning before you are able to perform.
Absolutely relate to that. Yeah, I remember when on my trip when you were like camping what depths of Russia or something, and you camp wild. That was just my thing as well. It's like you wake up in the morning and nature works its course, doesn't it? It's like, where am I going for this one?
You feel so much better for it, you know.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. Adam's got another question. He says, question for Sean. What percentage would you put on the importance of mental fitness compared to physical fitness in your endurance events?
It's a really difficult one because, you know, everyone says, "Oh, it's not about, you know, the body. It's all about the mind." Yes, but if you're not fit enough, you ain't going nowhere. You know, you're not going to. If you just want to complete something, then yes, it's all mental because you could crawl it and still complete it. But, you know, if you tell, you know, the guy who always comes second to Usain Bolt in the 100-meter sprint, whether it's body or mind, it's probably body because Usain Bolt is a genetic freak of nature. And no matter how strong number 2 guy is at the moment, he's biologically at a disadvantage, right? So although, you know, everyone wants to say that obviously it's all in the mind, and a lot of it is to be able to keep pushing at your peak physical fitness is in the mind. And also you can over push it and then burn out. So there's a lot of mental energy involved there, but you certainly need a level of fitness first before you're able to then benefit from a strong mind. So yes, you know, you can be the fittest person in the world and still come last in the race, but you can't win a race
and not
being unfit, but have a strong mind. You kind of need them both, but certainly, you know, let's say there's 2, of course, if there's 2 people of the same fitness, it's all about the mind. Certainly, yeah. So there is an element of both, but you can't, you know, especially with running, you know, you could be the strongest bit, and I struggle with this a lot because with cycling there's less risk of injury, so it is a lot more mind related. And if I move that to running, all of a sudden I'm just getting injured because I'm thinking I could jump on a bike and cycle for 40 hours tomorrow. I could jump on the bike, cycle for 40 hours, sleep under a bush, and then carry on. There's no in a million years I could do that running. I just get injured because I'm not strong enough. So that's sometimes where having a strong mind, because I think I'm like, I can do this. Yeah. And then you blow your knee out or something. So yeah, there is a big share. I'm just wary to just fly the whole it's all in the mind thing, because then people just get injured and then they write me long emails saying, you told me I could do it. You told me I could do it, Sean, and now I can't walk and I got a ruptured kneecap, Sean. So yeah.
I'm definitely guilty of that because I'm always promoting the strength of mind. Just keep going. But for me, when I do stuff, I am no physical specimen. So I'm not thinking I've got to win. I've got to beat. For me, it's just I've got to complete. I've got to finish. You know, so that's the difference with me. I'm not out to set any records. I just want to do whatever it is I've set. I can do that. I'm going to go for that. And at the moment, I'm sat on a motorbike, so you know, as long as there's fuel and the engine's working.
RSI on the old hand, man. That accelerator, you know.
This is it. Definitely.
It's really difficult.
Definitely. One more. Adam Sheard. Okay, another couple of questions. One, your favourite country you cycled through and why?
Cycled through. I'm a big fan of deserts. So this was in Peru and Chile and Peru.
Atacama.
The Atacama.
Yeah.
So I think I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed sort of, just being out in the middle of the desert. That really excites me, the idea of that.
I love sleeping in the desert. Like the Atacama in particular at night. The stars at night were just
amazing,
phenomenal. Yeah. Never seen anything like that.
Yeah. So so that's the place that I've been probably got the most reward out of crossing on a bicycle is the Atacama. If you just want to enjoy cycling, go to France or Italy. You know, everyone cycles. It's the food is great. You know, there's amazing roads, amazing mountains. You know, there's loads of other cyclists you can chat with, and it's just easy. Cars are pretty accommodating towards cyclists. There's good cycle paths, and if you want it to be flat, you can find flat bits. If you want it to be hilly, you can find hilly bits. And the weather's good for the most part. Yeah. I would say those two different types of fun. You know, type 1 fun, type 2 fun.
Definitely. I spend quite a bit of time on a motorbike up in the mountains in northern Spain, southern Spain, and over in the Canaries as well, do tours and stuff out there. And it always blows my mind when you are in the middle of nowhere, thousands of feet up in these mountains, and you come across these people cycling. Yeah. I'm just like, you've had to cycle all the way up here, and you are miles from anything.
And you're 70 years old. How are you doing it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's weird, isn't it? When you go across onto the continent, into Europe, they just seem to be far more outdoorsy minded than I think in the UK. Cycling has obviously exploded. Cycling is very, very popular now. But when you're in Europe, like they're out walking, they're out fell running, they're out cycling, rafting down the rivers. Yeah. People just seem to be out and about a lot more, I've found personally.
Yeah, but I think that's maybe only because it's weather related, I think. I think British people historically have been very outdoorsy. You know, we were the forefront of exploration for 200 years, right? But you just don't see it as much in the winter because the weather's a bit rubbish, and it's a bit more dangerous to go out and walk up a mountain in the snow, and when it's not real snow, so you can't just put crampons on. You know, it's a bit icy and it's windy, and you've got a family, and I'm not going to take my son up Triffin, on a gowly, blowy day or up Ben Nevis, right? I think it's just a weather thing and a seasonal thing that when you go to Europe you see more of it because the weather's just better for it. Yeah. But I do think I work with a lot of outdoor brands, and for them Britain is one of their biggest markets.
Is it?
Genuinely is. My Echo, my shoe sponsor, for them Britain and America, they're on a par. And I'm like, how? We have 60 million, they have 250 million. And they're like, no, Britain is a huge market. People love the outdoors in Britain.
Wow.
So I think Britain is amazing. I think we're up there. I think we have the best maps in the world. Ordnance Survey maps are by far the best mapping, I find, in the world. And we've just got this resilience of like, it's cold and miserable, but I've got a cup of tea, so I'll be fine. And in Scotland, the right to roam is great, and it only works in Scotland. I don't think it could work anywhere else. And it allows people that freedom to go out and explore, which is great,
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to get back. I've got to say, as soon as we have the freedom of travel, well, myself and I think 3/4 of the population of the country are going to be heading up to Scotland.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be it's a bit of a worry. All the environmental people and the national parks are a little bit worried that's going to be a bit of a coiled spring at the moment. And I think most people will be respectful of the environment and not overuse paths and stick to paths and things like that, and not cause erosion and litter and things. But I hope people are a bit more respectful, because it's certainly going to be, I think we're going to be traveling a lot more in the UK, which is great, but it's also going to come with some downsides, unfortunately. And I think my advice for people is just try and go to some places that aren't the obvious popular touristy places. If you're going to go to Keswick and the Lake District, don't just walk up Cat Bells. There's loads of other amazing mountains and hills you can walk up, and there's loads of other places in the lakes you can stay in. The West Lakes is amazing, but it takes that extra hour and a half to drive to, so people don't go to it. But West Cumbria is great. I love it. And so I think that's what people will do. I mean, I'm even looking at a caravan. I'm like anti-caravan man, but my wife's like, a caravan would be good. And I was starting to think, maybe you're right. Maybe a caravan would be a good idea.
I'm exactly. I think it must be a maturity thing, Sean, because I was the same. Caravans were the enemy, weren't they? And now you look and you think, maybe like a motorhome. That would be a great idea. Just the freedom.
Except I've sort of said I'll only do a caravan if it's an Airstream. And obviously that's great because it's just out budgeted us anyway. So we're like, okay, well, we can't do it now. So instead we bought a massive bell tent, and actually I think that's quite a good compromise, really. So just a big bell tent. You know those round sort of teepee. It's not a teepee, but it's kind of like a teepee. Yeah. And you can stand up in it, and you can have a log burning fire in it and everything. So that's now our caravan, which means when we go camping with the little one, you can walk around the tent and you can sit and read if the weather's bad, and and it's not that noisy like nylon. It's canvas, so when the wind's blowing, it's not ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, and our son can sleep at least if it's windy, and and it looks cool. You've got my wife. We go to town, we got like fairy lights and Tibetan prayer flags, and we've got a toilet tent, a little pop-up toilet tent. And I take a full-on gas hob, like a massive gas hob with a full-on massive, like LPG gas canister with us as well. We have a little an electric shower which plugs into the Land Rover.
Bloody hell, seriously.
And sucks water out of a bin. So, we're boiling the water on the fire. We put it in the bin. We've got a hot shower, which hooks onto the back of the Landy. It's great. We love it. It's great for children, in that sort of thing. So
definitely. I mean, when you're doing all your adventures, that one where you cycled across Europe, I remember I think you were in Russia. You were on the last leg heading towards Ufa. And I remember you were finding somewhere to sleep. So you literally just crawled into the storm drain under the road.
Oh, yeah.
And went to sleep. And I was watching it going, you get eaten alive by mosquitoes, and there's bears out there as well.
Yeah. I mean, most animals are scared of humans. That's my thinking anyway. But storm drain. So these records, I only broke the Europe record by 20 minutes a day.
Wow.
You can easily waste 20 minutes setting up camp at night.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're going down side roads for too far and you're not getting any distance on a side road, towards the record. And that sort of thing. And drain pipes are perfect because you can be right on the road, out of sight. No one knows you're there as long as it hasn't been raining. And, you're usually fine. And, I have to say you get one of the best sleeps. I always sleep with earplugs and an eye mask on my adventures, just so I don't get woken up by frogs and rats and things, and then kind of annoying. But drain pipes are great. I'm a big fan, and I'm not the only one. Like Mark Beaumont will swear by them as well.
Yeah. I remember one time I was right over in eastern Russia, sort of halfway between. I reckon I was sort of halfway between Chita and Vladivostok. So it's right over in that, just nothing really out there. And I found this little wood off of the road to camp in for the night. And it was right near a big pylon, at the foot of a pylon. I thought, right, okay, I'll sleep here. So I went to sleep, absolutely shattered. And I woke up in the early hours with loads of lights and the sounds of like Russian men all round about me. And I was like, oh. And because I'd camped way off the road, I'd left everything on my bike. So my wallet, passport, everything's in my sort of tank bag, sat on the tank of the bike. And I was like, oh, no. And they were really close. They were literally outside my tent. So I thought, I'm going to have to stick my head out. So I'm in my pants, and I literally unzipped, stepped out, looked into the lights, gave the big thumbs up, and I was like, you all right, everyone okay? And they started saying, oh, English? I was like, no, it's Scottish. And then the whole mood changed. They were like, Scotia! So one of them spoke a bit of English, and I had a map drawn on the back of my helmet, so I showed them what I was doing. So they all, had a laugh, and I did it on a sports bike, so they're looking at this sports bike and stuff. And they were like, no, it's fine. We're here to build the road. Said we need to do some work. You sleep, go to sleep, but it's going to be noisy. So I said, no problem. I'm tired. So I got back in the tent and went to sleep. And I was aware there was a load of noise and the ground was rumbling and stuff with the heavy vehicles. And I was just slept because I was shattered. I woke up about 4 or 5 o'clock, unzipped the tent, and that beautiful wood that I went to sleep in had gone. They'd literally...
Really?
Yeah, they'd floored the entire forest and left like a little island of green around about me, my bike and my tent. And now it was just mud. So I've got out, packed everything up, packed my tent up onto the bike, and now I had to ride this sports bike through the mud down to where they dug the road up and they were resurfacing the road and everything.
Yeah. Oh,
and they just wanted me to wheelie as I, as I went away. I was like, no, it's not happening. It's not happening. That's one of the most surreal experiences. Just waking up and the whole forest is gone. Adam's got one more question, last one. He said, any interesting wildlife encounters on the swim?
Seals and dolphins all the time.
Yeah.
And the seals were really inquisitive, and it was great. Like this one time I'm swimming along and there's a seal swimming next to me. And when I went up to breathe, he would come up and breathe with me and we'd look at each other out the water. And then when I went back down, he was under the water and we sort of did this sort of next to each other. Dolphins, I never had that close. They would always sort of be darting below me. Phosphorescence or photoluminescence, that was probably my most magical, amazing experience. And it was a bit like if you watch Life of Pi when the whale comes up, or in The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio when they're playing in the water and it's just explosions of light. Honestly, it was like that. It was even better. If I had my hands like this in the water and I just opened them like that, there would just be this explosion of light, a foot around each hand. When I took each stroke, off each fingertip was just a trail of phosphorescence, like sparkles. It was just amazing. And because some of them were so big, when I came out the water, they'd be all in my beard. And the crew would be like, oh, look, he's a Christmas tree.
I didn't realise you got that off on the UK coastal waters. Wow.
No, mainly up Ireland. So when I was swimming up the coast of Ireland was when they were there the most, and then coming back in towards Mull of Kintyre and then around Scotland as well. It was just, I agree. I thought it was just like Thailand in the movies, Yeah.
Now, the swim with the wildlife, that's where the beard comes into play, isn't it? Because of jellyfish. Is this true?
Oh, jellyfish, yeah. I mean, I don't consider them wild. I don't consider them wildlife. They're just the enemy. I mean, anyone who's done the swim, Ross Edgley had the same thing, is just getting stung in the face by jellyfish. And, like any swimmer, I was clean shaven to start. And then I went a couple of weeks without shaving, so I didn't feel I needed to shave every day. I get a rash when I shave anyway. And I soon realized that actually where I had a bit of facial hair, I wasn't feeling the pain as much. And it basically, because the beard stops the jellyfish hitting your skin, right? So from that day on, I just thought, right, I'm just going to grow this anti-jellyfish protection beard. and it worked. It was great. And I think it now gives me superpowers.
Well,
and the ability to hide Argos pencils. So,
A beard automatically increases your awesomeness by about 20-fold. So,
I'm stuck now because my wife's when I met my wife, we had this rule from day one. We weren't allowed to Google each other, or look at search each other online. We only became Facebook friends after we were married, which was nice. It means you can't. Well, it's nice for me because I'm way cooler on the internet than in real life, so I didn't want it to get a false impression of me and then be disappointed. So she met me with a beard. She has no idea what it looked like without a beard. Right. And I'm worried that if I shave, she will no longer fancy me.
So my wife's been with me throughout this whole sort of adventure. So we were together before I went and did my trip, actually. So I grew my beard on the trip.
Okay.
So she knows what I look like without the beard, but funnily enough, she prefers me with the beard. So, so she's like, no, don't shave it. Don't shave it.
Yeah, nice.
Dude, that's like an hour and a half. Are you okay for time, or Are you done?
Yeah, I'm good for a bit. Yeah,
you okay?
For a bit. Yeah.
We've covered all the Patreon questions, so there's a couple on Instagram and a few on Facebook. So we'll just crack through some of them. So this is across on Instagram. It's at TeapotOne at Insta. First one, official Mr. Fish. My question is, what tips would you give to Bruce, seeing as he's now committing to his cycle around the UK on the podcast? I said drunkenly, I'd had a few beers on the podcast. I mentioned to somebody who was on here, I've always fancied cycling around the UK, and obviously once you've said it, that's it, isn't it? So that will have to happen at some point. But so I keep getting reminded about that all the time.
So the sort of official on the edge round the 5,000 mile route.
Yeah, the coastal path sort of route. Yeah, that type of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Devon and Cornwall is very hilly.
Yeah.
It's all very hilly, actually. Tips: you just need miles in the legs to do multiple day cycling on hilly bits. You just got to get the miles in the legs. And actually, depending on, I would use a gravel bike with road tires, bit more road-ish tires than gravel tires, but with gravel gearing for the hills. Like genuinely, I had just normal road gears, and I was pushing up the hills. I was also on that bamboo bike, which wasn't ideal anyway, but still, it's so hilly. Like, it's almost mountain bike, especially if you've got panniers and you're doing it self-supported. You're almost needing mountain bike gear ratios, really. So that would be my biggest tip, is use a gravel bike with gravel gear ratios, and maybe put sort of road tires on it, because it's all tarmac. You're not allowed to cycle on public footpaths anyway, so the whole route is on the road. But yeah, just look at getting better gears and get that strength in your legs, mate, because it is hilly.
So my plan of, I'm not going to do any training, I'm just going to set off, and then that'll be me. I'll just keep going. And,
just do it. Oh no, you could do it. You just really, I would start on the East Coast, so you get into it. So by the time you get down to, if you're going clockwise, by the time you get down to Devon and Cornwall, you've got a bit of strength and that sort of thing. Yeah. Coincidentally, Nick Sanders still has the round the Britain cycling record.
God, does he?
1984, I believe. Yeah. And people have tried. Guy Martin had a crack at it, and he only got a week in. It's tough. Yeah.
Jesus.
Tough. Yeah. So he's had that since 1984. 200. I think it's 200 miles a day. You've got to do 205 miles a day.
I cycled to Brighton. I did the Brighton run once. Clapham to Brighton. That killed me.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. Fish has got a second question. He says, the real question is there one thing that you wish you hadn't done on your adventures because it was an anticlimax?
No, because I'm not really, for me, the sort of, there's no like hook in the reward at the end of it for me. As in, I don't do it for all the congratulations or the book deals and all that sort of thing. I would do it if I won the lottery tomorrow. I'd still carry on doing it. Yeah. Because I enjoy doing it. It's good for my mental health. It's all that sort of kind of, I'm a better person when I have these big goals to chase. And inevitably, it's always a massive anticlimax. When I finished my Europe ride, I just arrived at the statue in Ufa and was like, oh, I'm done now. Right.
I saw that.
Got to find a flight home. And that's it. It's just like, oh, well, there's no crowds, there's no one cheering, and that sort of thing. So it's all, and I kind of like it that way. I kind of like the understated endings. The stuff I do in Britain, inevitably, because it's Britain, people come to the end of those, and it's all a little bit more hyped. And I always feel bad. I always feel terrible. Like, some people have made such an effort to come and see me finish these silly little things I'm doing, and I kind of feel like a bit of an imposter, and they've wasted their time. So I always feel a bit awkward.
You do know what you've accomplished in life, don't you? You are aware of the scale of what you do.
Yeah, but I'm so in it, I don't really see it from the outside. It's just kind of what I do, and I just baby steps. And, because it's been 10 years now, I've been doing it for 10 years, and, people only see the highlights, but I've been doing the grind for so long that, it's hard to get objective, I guess.
Yeah, no, I get that. Josh Hoole, 46. I met him in St David's whilst he was passing through on his bamboo bike on another record attempt. Great guy. Could you ask him, what's it like getting stopped by well-meaning strangers when you're trying to do a record attempt?
So it's great because actually there was no time limit on the triathlon, other than a self-imposed time limit, and other than a time limit which meant it was legitimate. If I'd taken 3 years to do it, people would be like, yeah, whatever. So yeah, I love it. It's great. Yeah, it's absolutely great. It's never been an issue because I've either been so far ahead of the record that I'm doing that stopping for 5 minutes didn't actually affect anything. And actually it's given me a boost in my morale. So I love it. Bring it on. Yeah.
I mean, mine's nowhere near in the same space as yours. I don't do record attempts or anything like that. But for what I do, I love the social interaction, like just meeting people when I'm out and about on the bike and going places, and people follow on social media and go, oh, if you're going here, come here, I'll meet you there. We'll go for a brew. And I love the whole social side of it. But then I'm not trying to set any records or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Bungie HRMV. Question for Sean. What was the first meal you had following each of these amazing efforts? Surely something pretty special, or were you too tired to care?
Big bowl of salad.
Seriously?
Yeah. Desperate for green vegetables, fresh veg, fresh fruit, fresh salad. Because I'm just living on carbs and service station food mostly. I'm just craving a nice big bowl of salad.
I was expecting you to say a big steak or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy it. That's probably my second meal, is when I have a real choice and I can go to the supermarket. But the first thing I just need is fresh fruit and veg.
Yeah.
Mainly fresh veg. I don't really have a sweet tooth, so fruit I feel is a bit sickly sometimes. But but then when I get home, steak, broccoli, cherry tomatoes. That's it. No carbs, nothing else. Yeah,
happy days.
And a whiskey.
Highland Ewan, one for Sean. How did you stay motivated on the days when you were running on empty? It's amazing feats. Well done, sir. We kind of touched on that.
Yeah, we touched on that with my 5 pistons: food, water, sleep, muscle management. Yeah,
gotcha. What else do we have here? So I'm just trying. There's a lot of people saying amazing achievements and congratulating you on what you've done. Where are we? Meagley 1. Is it true that all endurance cyclists have to be certified insane before being allowed to embark on their nut-squashing journeys? Or does it help?
I don't know. I think we're normal. I think everyone else is insane. I don't know. Yeah, no, I genuinely think doing endurance cycling challenges is just not normal, because of course it's not the most popular choice for people to do, but I still think there's quite a lot of rationality around doing them. And I think the only reason people haven't done them is because they haven't tried to do it.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I don't know, are we insane or is everyone else insane? There's a famous, I think it's a famous Tibetan proverb or Chinese proverb maybe, where they say, soon everyone will be mad, and if you are not mad, you'll be considered mad.
Flipping it right over, yeah. What were you like then before you did this in your old life, where you had the job and your own business and stuff? I mean, what did you do for kicks, or were you just working all the time?
Yeah, I was just working. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. I just didn't do anything for kicks, and because I loved my job, truthfully. I didn't enjoy doing the school photography bit, and that was really full time for the last 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 years. But before that, when I was sort of making my way as a photographer, I was getting some fun gigs. I worked on the Harry Potter films in the stills department. I photographed Prince William. I had some really fun fun gigs as a photographer in the early days. So yeah, and that was my kick, really. It was only I lost my way sort of late 20s, really, when I just started doing more of the money stuff rather than the fun stuff. So yeah, I mean, I didn't do any sport. I didn't even own a pair of running shoes. I had cycled Land's End John O'Groats in 2008, and that was pretty much it. That was the only adventure thing I did.
But were you a keen cyclist, or was that just something that popped into your head and I had to do?
I did Land's End John O'Groats. I had no bike before that. I did Land's End John O'Groats. I got back from that vowing that cycling was going to be my new thing, and I was going to cycle every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
and didn't cycle again for another 4 years, I think. So yeah, it was I don't know. I just got caught up with life and earning money and paying bills and stuff, you know, and chasing the wrong dream that I thought was the right dream, but it wasn't the right dream, you know.
Gotcha.
It's hard to know. You know?
Last one of the Instagram questions. Mr. Revbomb, question, what part of your journey or journeys do you find the hardest, or have you found the hardest? Everything you've done so far, hardest bit.
Getting to the start line, you know. I all these adventures, records especially, cost a certain amount of money. You know, trying to raise the funding for that, trying to get fit enough, all the training, trying to sort out the logistics. You know, people always ask me, so what's your team like? So there is no team. Like, genuinely, I don't have anyone. I used to have a guy, Steve Mellor. He used to help me with a bit of nutrition stuff back in the day for my Around the World. So back in 2011, 2012, he would give me advice just over email and phone. There's another guy, Mark Cleantus, who's sort of an Iron Mate Mark, who's done loads and loads and loads of Ironmans. He would give me a few little tips, you know, little things here about, you know, especially with recovery and stretching and tennis ball massaging in my hip. So I have quite a tight abductors and stuff. Other than that, there's no one else. There's no doctors. There's no training. I don't have a coach. I don't have a trainer. I just do everything myself. So, you know, and that's why I choose to do it that way. And I enjoy the challenge of doing it solo and all by myself. So yeah, getting to the start line is always difficult. You know, once I'm sort of like on your marks, get set, go, then it's easy for me now because I know what I'm doing. You know, but getting to the start line is always a hard one.
Yeah, absolutely can relate to that. We've touched on this round the world attempt a few times, and you're typically blasé about it. I didn't make that. But you still, for people that don't know, you'd done 4,000 odd miles and then you got run over by a truck. Is that right? You were involved
a pickup
in
truck, like an American-style pickup truck.
Which basically broke your back. Yeah,
I got a compression fracture in my spine, which, you know, it's a fracture, but for me, it's not a real fracture.
But then
it is a real fracture. But so the
record was off. Home.
Yeah, but then I carried on because, you know, the injury wasn't bad enough for me to not carry on. It was paid for, and I had to take painkillers and that sort of thing. And I had a neck brace for a bit, which kind of didn't really work on the bike. But yeah, I mean, it's weird. No one really asks me about my round the world cycle anymore, which is weird. You know, the thing that kind of gets forgotten is the fact I actually cycled around the world once. And maybe Sean, because
you cycled 12,000 miles with effectively a broken back, fractured spine.
Yeah, I know. But I was going slowly, so maybe it wasn't as interesting to people anymore.
That's phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. Yeah. So the last question, sorry to cut in there, but the last question, just had a quick scan through the Facebook, and there's loads of repeat questions that we've already gone through, and lots of people just saying how amazing your achievements are. There's a question from a chap called Stu Webb. Of all the things you've achieved, which ones are you most proud of, and what's next? Now, that's obviously my question too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think looking back, I mean, I'm proud of all of them because they all were difficult for me to achieve. Otherwise, I wouldn't have chosen to do them if I knew I could do them. But I think the story I'll repeat in the old age home when I'm senile, I think will be swimming the length of Britain. I think that's the one that changed my life overnight, both from a personal kind of confidence point of view and just opportunities. I all of a sudden became a sports person that companies and other brands and magazines and newspapers wanted to start working with and feature.
Mm-hmm.
And that just opened so many doors for me. And that allowed me to carry on being a sports person. You know, you can only really keep being a sports person if you kind of achieving or winning, you know, and as soon as I'd won at something, all of a sudden people were interested as me as a sportsman. And that would be, I think, looking back, will be the moment and the adventure that really gave me the personal confidence to carry on trying to break records and be an endurance sportsman, and also the opportunities that came with it, whether it be just fun opportunities to go and explore and travel and meet people, and also allowed me to eventually, at the age of 39, buy a house, you know, and provide for my family and that sort of thing, which, you know, would I have done that without the swim? Probably, because I have that in my nature to just try and do something else and push at it. So maybe I would have gone down a different direction. But certainly at the time, 2013, swimming the Britain came at the right time, where people were just really just like blown away by the whole idea. And a bit like Ross doing the full circumnavigation a couple of years ago, same sort of thing. You know, people are like, whoa, you know, it just captured people's imagination. You know, by no means was my swim the hardest thing that a human being has ever done in the history of the world. No, nowhere near. But it was a story that people found interesting. And I think I'll always hold that side of it, you know, close to my heart. The fact that I was able and stupid enough to actually follow through with the idea, you know.
Awesome. That's definitely when you came on my radar. I was away on my trip during that time, and I think it was on social media. Somebody messaged me going, "Have you seen this mentalist?" And I couldn't fathom someone doing that. It was phenomenal. Yeah, amazing. So last part. What's next?
Yeah. Oh, if only I could tell. I've had a big project in the pipeline, which is probably looking like 2023 now, which I'm excited about. But practically, little things I'm doing. So I've done the 496 challenge. So this year I want to do loads of little things. On the 26th of February, so coming up, end of next week, I think, will be the 40th day before my 40th birthday. So I'm doing 40 before 40. So I'm doing 40 things on 40 days before my 40th birthday. And a bit fun stuff, like one day I'm going to give blood. One day I'm going to plant a tree. One day I'm going to do some litter picking. One day I'm going to run 10K. One day I'm going to do 100 burpees. I don't know. One day I'm going to climb a tree. I've got loads of things to do. I've got 40 things to do, which I'm going to do each day before my 40th birthday. And then hopefully finish on my 40th birthday, I'm hopefully going to run 40K. And I'm hoping people can join me. You know, maybe people will find it interesting coming and joining me as well, physically or online or whatever. So, so that's what I'm doing next. 40 before 40.
Everyone will be able to follow you on social media. I'll put all the links down below.
Instagram, I guess, is where you can find me. So,
My wife, I mean, she's not confined it to 40 days, but when she turned 40, she sort of made this book, and it was 40 things to do in her 40s. So obviously she has 10 years to do it. But that's what she's doing. She's ticking them off as she goes through.
Well, it's probably a lot bigger ideas than planting a tree.
It's a mixture of things, but there's a lot of like international travel mixed in there, places she's never been to that she wants to go to. So no, it's awesome. Fantastic. Right, Sean, thank you so much, man, for spending a couple hours of your day with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Before we sign off, is there anything you want to plug? Any sponsors, websites, products, anything at all that you want to give a shout out to? Feel free.
Watch my 496 documentary. It's free on YouTube. I'm pretty proud of it. It was a fun challenge, and I'd love more people to do the 496 challenge. You know, you've got to choose a month with 31 days in it to do it. A few people are doing it now in February. It's only 405K. I think you got 90K less. But yeah, it's such a great challenge. It starts small. It really builds your confidence as a runner. because it takes you 22 days to get to halfway, so it really is a nice gradual way. And it's kind of an up yours at the millennial way of thinking, right? Like, I want it now, I want it yesterday, I want it 3 years ago. Whereas this is like gradual, you take a whole month to run it and it builds. And
so a couch to 496, Sean.
A couch to 496. It's doable. You might just take a bit longer to do the big mileage towards the end. But yeah, check the thing out, 496 Challenge YouTube. And I'd love for other people to have a crack at it. So March, we can do it in March.
Fantastic. It really is. As a fat bloke, it is quite inspirational to watch. It's on YouTube. You can watch it now. There'll be links down below. And it does. Sean is one of those people that makes stuff look effortless. And you look at it and think, oh, I could try that. I can do that. So go for it. Follow his socials as well. His Instagram's great. Sean, thank you so much, man. Really do appreciate it.
Anytime, mate. And next time you're in Wales, give us a shout.
Spot on. Be up for that. Right, folks, as always, thank you very much for joining us for a few hours here. Hope you've enjoyed this one. As we always say, as I've been saying for the last year and a bit now, we're nearly through this. I promise you, we are on the homeward stretch, definitely. So keep on doing your thing. Look after those that you love, but get on out there whenever you can and live your life. Woo-ah! Dude, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it.
Sweet. Right. I've got another meeting now, so
all right, bud.
Have a cup of tea and then crack on.
Brilliant.